Welcome to part 3 of my Answering Questions for Atheists miniseries. Links to the previous video and playlist will be in the description and cards. So let's go.
What would convince you that God exists?
Again, this is asking about the Christian God in particular, to which I would answer that I don't know what would convince me that it exists. I don't think a person could convince me because that would require convincing me that all the problems with the Bible and Christianity are wrong or just don't matter. If I witnessed something supernatural that required their particular God, then perhaps that would be enough to convince me. But that's not going to happen.
Are you willing to follow the evidence even if it leads to a different understanding of how the universe works?
Yes, that is basically every day for me. My understanding of how the universe works is changing constantly.
If Jesus rose from the dead, would you become a Christian?
The big question here is how assured I would be of the event. If you're just going to try and convince me that he rose from the dead, then you'll be in for a rough time. But if we're assuming that I have somehow been convinced that he rose from the dead, then I probably would become a Christian. It's pretty much the fundamental event of Christianity. So as long as I'm convinced that it was a supernatural act, then it would be logical to become a Christian.
If you wouldn't become a Christian, why would you ever accept that he rose from the dead?
There could be other possible explanations. There are cases of people being thought dead to the point of being placed in a morgue, only to wake up there. Unless only the supernatural can remain, then a natural cause remains possible. And so long as a natural cause is possible, it's more likely than a supernatural one.
Why do atheists keep insisting faith is blind trust when that's not what Christians or the Bible say?
Because it really is. Propaganda doesn't call itself propaganda, because that carries negative connotation. The Bible and Christians aren't going to say, oh yeah, this is blind faith, because that will have a negative effect on trying to convert people.
Why do you want material evidence for an immaterial God?
Because apparently he created everything material and worked in the material world without leaving a trace. And I know the idea of the Christian God creating everything to appear as though he doesn't exist doesn't sit well with a lot of Christians. And if there is no material evidence, then how is that not blind faith? I feel him working in my life. Gamblers feel like the next game is going to be a win, but that doesn't mean the odds have changed at all.
Is there a purpose to life?
No. I may have purposes in my life, but there is no purpose to life. I guess you could say to reproduce. At the basic levels, life reproduces. That's one of the defining features of life. But I'd leave that as a feature rather than a purpose.
If there is, by what standard do you determine life has a purpose?
This is a skip.
If not, what is the point of listening to this video?
Entertainment, education, spreading one's horizons. I believe there is a point to hearing opposing points of view, because that is a way of checking how strong your beliefs or convictions are. And that's it for part 3. Part 4 is all about morality and could be a long one. Laters.